Good morning. I'm P. Renada. Welcome to Rappler Talk. I'm here with Jesse Ramirez, one of the two Filipino mountaineers who were near the Nepal capital city of Kathmandu when a 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit, killing thousands. Good morning, Jesse. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Pia. Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay. So we'll begin with. We just want to know, what were you doing in Nepal?
So we were in Nepal for 3 weeks. Supposed to be for 3 weeks. We got there on April 8th. This was me and my boyfriend Jico, who's also a mountaineer. We were there for a vacation. We started in Kathmandu, then we trekked up to the Langtang region, and then supposedly back to Kathmandu.
So what were you doing at the time the quake hit? Where were you?
So we just got back from trekking, tea house trekking at the time, and we were in Bhaktapur. It's an ancient city, a little outside of Kathmandu. We were actually in a museum, in an art museum when it happened, and basically, we're just looking around. We were just being tourists. Yeah. So.
And then, can you describe, like, when you felt the earthquake, how did it feel?
It was really sudden because the first thing we realized was that the lights, they just completely turned off. And we thought it's normal, because it's actually normal for the electricity to just die suddenly. So we thought it was just, okay, it's just some everyday thing. And then the ground started shaking, and we couldn't kind of keep our balance. We tried to run to the exit, but then the ground just slipped under us. So, and then the wall started, I don't know, it felt, well, to me it felt like it was crumbling or kind of shaking. So yeah, we were just kind of just staying to one side, trying to keep ourselves from being hit by any debris, any dust.
And how were the people around you reacting?
We were with actually some kids. We were with another family in that room of the museum. They were screaming, of course, but I think their parents were trying to keep them calm. We were actually trying to keep calm ourselves, even though we saw the window and we saw the temple across us. Some parts were falling off, so we were like, this must be a huge thing. So, but we were trying to keep calm as much as possible.
When did you fear most for your life at that point?
I guess when did I fear most? I guess when we saw actually the destruction outside. Because when we were inside the building, we didn't feel the urgency as much. But when we saw that everyone else was being affected by the earthquake and the magnitude of it, I just felt like I don't want to die. I don't want to get crushed inside this building. And yeah.
What was going on in your head when you realized this is a major earthquake? What was the first thing that came to your head?
I guess that I needed to find a safe place. Survival instincts. It was just get us out of this building, or we just wanted to get out of the building as much as possible. But we knew that it wasn't the right time. We need to stay put for now because things might start falling. So we waited a while inside the building before we did anything.
What were the things you did to stay safe during that time?
Well, I guess we kind of used the things we were taught in grade school partially. So as much as possible, we ducked and we stayed away from anything that we thought might fall on us. Any of the paintings, we were in a museum, so there were a lot of paintings that were being kind of taken off. None of them fell, but a lot of them were being unstable. So we tried to make sure that nothing fell on us and that we stayed near the arc. So there's this one window that had a kind of a structure similar to an arc. So we stayed near there. I think it's similar to how we're told to stay near door frames during earthquakes. Right. So I just remembered that. So me and Jico stayed there when it happened.
And then when the shaking stopped, when the damage was done, and then you sort of emerged from the rubble, as it were, what did you see? Can you describe the scene?
Well, so when the shaking stopped, we dashed out of the building. I guess I can note what was inside the building. The rest of the rooms, a lot of stuff from the walls fell. So we were lucky not to be in that room and any of the other rooms. We were lucky to be in the room that we were in. But when we got out, that was when we realized how grave it was, because a lot of temples, 13th century temples, UNESCO World Heritage Site temples were collapsed completely, and we got out into a square, and there were a lot of other people there, and a lot of them were pretty hysterical, I guess, or crying, and it was pretty chaotic. So, yeah.
And how did you end up getting out of that area and into the airport? You said you headed to the airport.
Oh, we headed there the next day, actually. We stayed the night. Actually, none of us really moved away from the square that we were in. So the whole day, it happened. It happened at noon. So the rest of the day, we were just camped out in the square, sitting on the floor and just waiting for a go, or a go signal that everything's gonna be fine and everything's gonna be okay. We got to the airport the next day. We hitched with a police truck. Yeah, we hitched with a police truck because there's a police station near Bhaktapur, the place that we were in. And they said that they could bring us there, all of the tourists. We kind of formed like a support system with the rest of the tourists, all of the people who were not really originally from there at the time. So.
And then when you got to the airport, and I'm sure you were thinking of where to stay, where to camp out. What was the first thing you did to make sure you had a place to stay?
Well, the first thing that we did when we got to the airport was to check our consulate, the Philippine consulate. So, but then when we got there, unfortunately, it was closed, and a lot of the people who did work there, a lot of the Nepalese who worked there were obviously busy, making sure that their homes were safe. So no one could really take us in. So yeah, from that time on, we were kind of just wandering, trying to find a place to stay, and we ended up staying in the airport again. We ended up just camping out in the airport. So the rest of our days in Nepal just was us trying to find a place to stay.
And how did you manage getting food, water?
Yeah, that was actually the hard part because only like a few establishments were open at the time, and most of them just had pre-packed goods. So we lived off biscuits and we lived off packed noodles for the rest of the time. And a lot of private groups kind of bought a lot of biscuits and water to share with other people. So that was really nice. I actually felt how it was to be a refugee really during that time. So, yeah.
At what point were you able to get in touch with your loved ones?
Actually, as soon as it happened, I wanted to tell them, as soon as it happened, because I knew that if they found out in the news, they would just freak out. So I texted my mom. I said, Mom, there was an earthquake in Nepal. It was kind of bad. I kind of tried to downplay it as much as possible because I knew that they'd freak out if they knew. But yeah, as soon as possible, people started texting also. My friends, they started texting us, wondering if we were okay when they saw the news and stuff. But of course, I'd assure them that we were okay and we'd be home soon, probably.
At what point were Filipino government officials able to contact you?
I think it was the day after that we were contacted by the DFA of Manila, and then afterwards of the embassy in New Delhi. So, because I think the embassy in New Delhi were forming a team of crisis management, a crisis management team who would fly to Kathmandu. So, they contacted us the next day just to make sure that we were okay and that we were surviving. We had food, we had water, we had shelter. So, yeah.
How did they contact you? Through text or?
They called us. I think, they called us. Both of us, although we wouldn't always have our phones on because we didn't have any way of charging, so we wanted to save battery as much as possible. But yeah, I think they got a few calls in.
I'm sure you were also witness to some of the first few days of relief operations. What was the mood like? Were people sort of downtrodden, or was there still a feeling of we'd get through this?
I think the atmosphere was actually pretty similar to how Filipinos react during a disaster. So everyone was their spirits were still pretty high. They're able to adapt to what's happened, and they didn't seem like they needed any help because they were able to help themselves as much as possible from what I saw. But I know that in terms of bigger problems, like for example, rebuilding and retrieving or rescue operations. That's where they needed as much help as they could get.
You were able to make some Nepali friends during your trip. Have you gotten in touch with them, and how are they now?
Unfortunately, I was able to email everyone that all the guest houses or the tea houses that we've stayed in during our trek. But I only got one reply, and it's actually one of the guest houses that we didn't stay at, but we have a card in. He said that his family and his loved ones were all in Langtang, which is the mountain that we trekked in, while he was in Kathmandu when it happened. So he actually has no contact with any of them, and he said that, well, quoting him, he said that he seems like he's lost everything. So he has no connection with his family, and he knows that the guest house is completely gone. He's seen pictures of Langtang. So yeah, I mean, as much as the only thing I can do right now is comfort him, and maybe in the future, it's still a long process of rebuilding, and so I hope maybe in the future I can help.
What appeared to you the biggest need of Nepal when you were there? What did they seem to need the most?
I guess something that I'm echoing actually something that's been said by a tourist who's been in touch with an aid agency when we were there. He said that something that Nepal really needs is someone or a group that can handle logistics, because Nepal is even before the quake, it's actually a very, I would say, chaotic country, because the city itself the roads to the city aren't as well paved. So the roads outward that go to the mountains aren't as accessible either. And adding the quake, so it just makes it 10 times worse. And getting things out and getting, I guess, people who need help into the city, into health centers, are their main problem right now. People who can handle the different logistics that need to be handled. Yeah.
As a traveler, what do you wish you brought beforehand or did beforehand to prepare for such a scenario?
As a traveler, I don't think there's anything really concretely that I could have brought that could have helped me, but maybe something that would have helped would be, because we were out in Bactapur, and we were expecting to be back home that night, of course, but we ended up camping the rest of the day and the day after. So I guess I would have wanted to have brought in my travel bag, something for the cold at night, because we camped outside, and something for keeping us hydrated. So we didn't have enough of that during the first few days, and of course we didn't expect it, but I guess the moral of the story is to always be prepared for these things.
And most Manileños of our generation haven't experienced a quake like this, but there's talk that it might happen here in Manila. And I just, for my last question, we just want to know, can you imagine a 7.8 magnitude earthquake happening here? And what do you think would be the scenario then?
It's hard to imagine it happening here, but I think the scenario would be similar to what I experienced there, which is a wave of panic coming through everyone who's here, because there are a lot of people in Manila right now, and having a group of people together during a disaster, I mean, they can be good, but sometimes it can be even more disastrous because people panic and everybody else catches the panic and everyone just acts irrationally. So I'm afraid that if a disaster like that does happen, that there might be instances of looting or any sort of a lot of crimes, I guess, that could happen. But in terms of infrastructure, we have better infrastructure than in Nepal. So I'm hoping and praying that our buildings will hold more than they did in Nepal.
Okay, that was amazing. That was an amazing story, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to ask you more questions, but right now that's all the time we have.
Okay.
So we've been talking to Jessie Ramirez about her experience during the Nepal earthquake. Once again, I'm P. Renada. Thank you for joining us.